evolution of the Southern heart that we see on display. And we Southerners get so little credit for the progress we've made. The whole notion of judging a person on the content of their character, not the color of their skin, has happened. It's not going to happen. It's not around the corner. It's in the rearview mirror.
That's not in the rearview mirror. That's actually the view through your glasses as you wait at the bus stop for the white delegation to pick you up off waivers. Hi, my name is Reese Waters, and I'm troubled. I never even got around to dragging Tim Scott for ignoring the whole black jobs thing.
The president used a phrase I hadn't heard before. Maybe he's used it, maybe you've heard this, but he used a phrase saying that immigrants are coming into this country, undocumented immigrants, and they're taking black jobs and Hispanic jobs. What did he mean by that phrase, black jobs and Hispanic? What exactly does he mean? And does he mean low-wage jobs? And why not just say low-wage jobs? Why does he have to insert race and or ethnicity into it?
I got to tell you, the thing I thought was incredibly powerful on the issue of immigration was when President Trump said that we see our veterans homeless on the streets.
And we know exactly what he meant. He meant low-wage jobs. But of course, if he says the thing that we know he means, then he wouldn't have the room to continue to tap dance and shuffle as if he hasn't been anti-black for the last 5 decades. Also, here's a convenient list in case you wanted some examples of black jobs. There are a lot of exceptions in here. Now, when that video came out, I had had enough. We had had the whole shuffle off between him and Byron Donalds. I said the black delegation has had enough. He has been on the trading block for years. It is far too long. Just go ahead and send him home. No, he has to be waived. He has to be waived by the black delegation if no other delegation is going to trade for him. Unfortunately, there's a 10-day waiting period for him to clear waivers. And in that time, he went and said this.
Chosen as the vice president, you would be the first black Republican VP on the ticket. How do you feel?
Well, I think it's exciting, no matter the outcome. It's the evolution of the Southern heart that we see on display. And we Southerners get so little credit for the progress we've made. The whole notion of judging a person on the content of their character, not the color of their skin, has happened. It's not going to happen. It's not around the corner. It's in the rearview mirror. We are living Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream.
Trump, just go ahead and pick your VP and put us out of our misery, man. I mean, really, this might be one of the worst things that you have put us through, is having to sit through Byron Donalds and Tim Scott continuing to try and out-tap dance one another. Like, pick your VP so I can go ahead and run these pieces, dragging both of them for shuffling for nothing.
It's the evolution of the Southern heart that we see on display. And we Southerners get so little credit for the progress we've made.
Credit to Southerners. Well, I do want to give credit to the state of Florida and Alabama and Mississippi and everybody else that has attacked critical race theory, or as I call it, history. Credit to them, and in your own state, in South Carolina, getting that gerrymandering decision from the Supreme Court, allowing them to pick and choose who they want in their jurisdiction, not based on race, but based on presumed political allegiance. And what would presumed political allegiance be based on, huh? Shoe size? Yeah, well, that's just the big picture, right? I wouldn't want to just cherry pick random stories and make it look like a racist epidemic. I mean, I'm not in the GOP.
The whole notion of judging a person on the content of their character, not the color of their skin, has happened. It's not going to happen. It's not around the corner. It's in the rearview mirror.
Now let's address what exactly is in the rearview mirror. There are the DEI programs that have been developed to try and create some equity in spaces that we've been excluded from. There was affirmative action, which sought to address that in corporations and colleges. Of course, there's the Voting Rights Act, ensuring that we had access to the ballot box. Of course, going back decades, as Brown versus Board of Education was struck down separate but equal. Wait, no. Those aren't in the rearview mirror. Those are all things that your party, the GOP, has sought to destroy. Yeah, that's not in the rearview mirror. That's actually the view through your glasses as you wait at the bus stop for the white delegation to pick you up off waivers.
We are living Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream.
Oh, they just love to quote MLK, don't they? Oh, they love to quote MLK. Really, it's like the GOP get out of jail free card. And yes, we are living MLK's dream, because I remember that time he said, I have a dream that one day a presidential candidate would get up on a debate and advocate for protecting black jobs. Tim Scott, you are not his dream. You are actually his reality, because they were anti-black Negroes then too. Yeah, that's how they got Malcolm and how they got Martin too. Now, as crazy as all this was, it wasn't even the first time that he tried this. Y'all remember The View?
One of the things I think about, and one of the reasons why I'm on the show, is because of the comments that were made, frankly, on this show, that the only way for a young African-American kid to be successful in this country is to be the exception and not the rule. That is a dangerous, offensive, disgusting message to send to our young people today, that the only way to succeed is by being the exception. The fact of the matter is we've had an African-American president, African-American vice president. We've had 2 African-Americans to be secretaries of the state. In my home city, the police chief is an African-American who's now running for mayor. The head of the highway patrol for South Carolina is an African-American.
Still exceptions.
In 1975, there was about 15% employment in the African-American community. For the first time in the history of the country, it's under 5%.
40% homelessness.
And 50% of the folks in our community
get 13% of the population.
You had the chance to ask the question. I know that I've watched you on the show, that you like people to be deferential and respectful, so I'm going to do the same thing. That is true. So here's what I'm going to suggest. I'm going to suggest the fact of the matter is that progress in America is palpable.
I'm going to need to stop us right there. I'm going to need to stop us. See, those are benchmarks, but if they were normalized, like if we were just flooded with black people in Congress, then they wouldn't even be notable. You wouldn't be able to point to 1 or 2 if they were anything else. 1 African-American president out of 44, which immediately leads to a rise in open racism, which organized itself under the notion to make America great again, and then takes the White House as soon as he's done. But they will gladly take credit for his accomplishments, which were blunted by a Congress that refused to work with him. And how are you the first black senator from the South since Reconstruction, and you're not the exception?
Progress in America is palpable. It can be measured in generations. I look back at the fact that my grandfather, born in 1921 in Sally, South Carolina, when he was on a sidewalk, a white person was coming, he had to step off and not make eye contact. That man believed then, with some doubt now, in the goodness of America, because he believed that having faith in God, faith in himself, and faith in what the future could hold for his kids would unleash opportunities in ways that you cannot imagine. Yesterday's exception is today's rule. And for us to suggest—
So America has met its promise.
No, of course, the concept of America is that we are going to become a more perfect union. That in fact, the challenges that we faced 50 years ago and 60 years ago should not be the same challenges that we face today.
I don't know what it is about black conservatives going on The View with this. I really don't, because actually Condoleezza Rice going on The View was actually the inspiration for my piece, the What's Wrong with Black Conservatives.
My parents never thought I was going to grow up in a world without prejudice, but they also told me that's somebody else's problem, not yours.
Now, this makes a whole lot of sense, because as a parent, I understand communicating to a child to lift any ceiling that she may perceive that she can do anything and it's somebody else's problem. But the reality is that it's all of our problem. Like, imagine if every black parent told their child that's somebody else's problem. Like, on an individual basis, you would feel empowered, but what you're also doing is abandoning the struggle for true equality and leaving it to the rest of us. That's a very I'm not black, I'm OJ way to view life. Look at our freedom fighters that we've had throughout history. Just pick anyone that comes to mind. Shirley Chisholm, Frederick Douglass, Sojourner Truth, Medgar Evers, Fred Hampton, obviously MLK. Just think about their parents telling them that yes, society has not been fair to our kind, but that is somebody else's problem. And I will ask the same question that I asked in that piece. How do you think we got to this place? Like, how do you think we got to this place where your grandfather can feel some gratitude for you not having to live his reality? You think he just waited for things to get better over time because there's something in the water that somehow diminished white people's racism? Is that what you think happened?
As a nation, we seemingly get on the right track and then we go backwards. So you as a black man and as one of the, are there two black?
Yeah.
Senators?
Yeah.
Raphael Warnock.
Raphael, that's
Three now.
The three, yes.
But you yourself have talked about when the police stopped you.
Absolutely.
So how can you get your party to stop trying to stop the progression that people are making?
Yeah, so-
Because that's what I complained about when I spoke about it. I want you to come out and say, listen, the Republicans have these issues. So
Yeah, I think humans have these issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, the issue of discrimination that I have faced, I assume you face as well, is an issue of the heart. It's not Republicans or Democrats. Frankly, both sides of the aisle can do a better job on the issue of race. And frankly, my side of the aisle, I think, is doing a fabulous job of making progress. The question is, how do we measure that progress?
How is that?
Well, let me just give you a couple examples. So when you think about, this is good news, yeah. So.
Now, I will give him credit here. I gotta give credit where credit is due. The GOP is definitely making progress because they gave us the mugshot, right? They gave us the mugshot, which of course we love. They gave us some shiny shoes, those shiny gold bricks, those wearable gold bricks, which of course I can't control myself, when shoes are available. They keep trotting out the same black unemployment and HBCU numbers as if we can't read, because it really only takes one time to look that up to find out Biden's were better. I do appreciate that. Of course, they advocated for protecting black jobs, and they picked a guy with a race record which goes back to the 70s. Just pick a decade. Just pick a decade and look into that and the litany of problems which he has presented. So we do appreciate that. And let me not forget that you have provided a comfortable home for folks who seek specifically to destroy critical race theory and DEI. So yes, phenomenal.
So the truth of the matter is that when you look at progress in the Senate, especially from the Republican side, African-American chiefs of staff on the Republican side, the only African-American female chief of staff was mine. The current only Hispanic chief of staff, who happens to be female, is mine. When you look at the fact that when I helped to rewrite the tax code in 2017, I focused on my growing up experience, which was a single mother. I cut her taxes. Single mothers like mine, average income around $40,000 by 73%.
But you only one black senator out of 50.
So the truth is that when you measure success and progress in this nation, one of the things you have to do is look at the statistical realities. We brought African-American unemployment, when we cut the taxes, down to the lowest level in the history of this country. For the first time under 6%, it hit 5.4%.
Well, you also gave billionaires a huge tax cut, and that didn't trickle down to the working people.
Well, let's take a look at that.
If you want to talk about statistical realities, the statistical reality that we can't even argue with is that African Americans are what, 14, 15% of this country?
13%.
And they're 3% of the U.S. Senate. That is a statistical reality.
That is only one statistic.
Here are a few more statistical realities. How about higher rates of arrest and incarceration despite similar offending rates when you account for other factors? How about higher sentencing compared to white counterparts for similar offenses? or disproportionate use of force by law enforcement, leading to higher rates of injury and death. And then we have the disparities in access to quality education, resulting in lower graduation rates and academic achievement gaps. You have higher rates of disciplinary action and suspension compared to white students. And then, of course, there's the higher unemployment rates. Yes, even when they're low, they're always higher, and lower median household income compared to white Americans. There's discrimination in hiring practices and promotions, leading to occupational segregation and limited career advancement opportunities. But of course, let's go ahead and attack DEI. There are disparities in access to healthcare services and health outcomes, including higher rates of chronic diseases such as diabetes, hypertension, and asthma, as well as limited access to mental health services and higher rates of psychological distress. And that's not to mention the infant and maternal mortality rates in the Black community, higher rates of housing instability, including homelessness and eviction, discrimination in housing markets, including redlining practices that restricted access to mortgage loans and desirable neighborhoods. There's a huge wealth gap still between Black households and white households, stemming from historic discrimination and systemic barriers to wealth accumulation. And of course, you have the limited access to capital for entrepreneurship and business development. Even the environment, disproportionate exposure to environmental hazards and pollution in Black communities with limited access to clean water, air, and safe recreational spaces. Yeah, why don't you ask the folks in Flint all about that? No? No? Too far to go to Flint? How about you go down to Jackson, Mississippi? How about challenges in voter suppression efforts targeting Black communities, including restrictive voting laws and something you should know all about in South Carolina, Tim Scott? Gerrymandering, and of course the underrepresentation in elected offices and decision making. Yes, those are indeed some statistical realities, or as you would call it, Tim Scott, exceptions.
Mr. Trump said yesterday that your name is very high on his list of people he's considering as a running mate. Would you be ready on day one to serve as commander-in-chief if necessary?
Well, I think if you're going to step into that job, it's obviously the toughest job, the biggest job, not just in our politics, but really, frankly, in the world. Look, I think that I would have an ability to step in. I'm actually pretty intelligent.
Tim Scott, he just talked about your mama. Welcome to Street Politics. My name is Reese Waters. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the page. Now, you guys all saw that Blacks for Trump event out in Detroit. Huh? What's that? What? Tim Scott walked up on Byron Donalds? Oh, because he mad he didn't get invited to the Blacks for Trump. Oh, snap. Wait a minute. They having a shuffle off right now? Tim Scott versus Byron Donalds? Oh, I'm going.
One at a time, murders in Milwaukee are down 39% since last year. And the Trump campaign's own election investigator in 2020 said that Wisconsin's results were legit. So if Mr. Trump feels so strongly that Milwaukee is a horrible city, why is he having his convention there?
Well, two things. First of all, when you bring these comments up, please bring them in context. I'm glad that you mentioned what the campaign said afterwards, but I noticed that your network and a lot of the press are not doing that. With respect to Milwaukee, he was talking about allegations of voter fraud and also the crime rate. And I think it's important for people to understand your murder rate may be down, but that doesn't mean that violent crime, et cetera, are also lower. Those are two different pieces of crime. Obviously, murder is the most heinous of them all.
Byron Donalds. Which one is it? Which one is it? You tried to just outright lie and say it had to do with election fraud, but you just had to throw in the crime, didn't you? You just had to throw in the crime. So when people say that another city is a horrible city, why do they say such a thing? Typically got to do with crime, right? Oh no, he's not saying it was horrible. It's just the election stuff. And also the crime. Really? Really? Oh, so Byron Donalds, if you weren't talking about the murder rate, then what kind of crimes were you talking to? We know that Milwaukee's fine when it comes to the violent crime, but we're more interested in all that white collar crime that y'all got going on in Milwaukee. You know, all the tax fraud and whatnot that we like to crack down on now, all of a sudden, because they cracked down on me.
Respected law enforcement. Under Joe Biden, we've seen the movement to defund the police, leaving communities like the one I grew up in devastated and ravaged by a wave of violent crime that we have not seen literally in 5 decades.
Actually, Senator, as you probably know, the latest stats on violent crime and on the murder rate, they're actually down this past year. But let me get back to my question about the Supreme Court's decision.
Well, let's take a look at let's take a look at those crime rates. We've seen over 4,000 shootings just in the city of Chicago. We've seen a spike in violent crime. It's nice to see something plateau, but the fact of the matter is simple. Under Joe Biden, neighborhoods like the ones I grew up in have never been ravaged. Grandmothers
back
like
to
the one that raised me are trapped in their houses from the time the sun goes down until it comes up again.
Oh, it is a tried and true MAGAism. Are you going to believe me or your lying eyes? In this case, the lying statistics. He literally gave you the statistics, and Tim Scott's just going to double down. Well, you look at Chicago. Chicago come out of your mouth more than drill rappers. By the way, murder rates in 2024 are actually on track to be at or below what they were every single year of Donald Trump's presidency. This is based on observed decline so far this year. And more than 75% of Americans still believe that crime is increasing. You know why? Because Tim Scott and them keep going on TV and saying it's so. We live in a post-factual world. We actually live in a post-factual society. And by the way, recently the FBI released statistics that after a dramatic decline in 2023, crime was down again in the first quarter of 2024. Murder and rape down over 25%, robbery down over 17%, and property crime down 15%. So those are the facts, despite what your shuffling tells you. And naturally, given that crime is down, that means that the Supreme Court should, go ahead and increase the violent capacity of weapons. Tim Scott?
So to my question, though, on bump stocks, would you now favor a Congress acting to ban bump stocks? You had said after that shooting in Las Vegas that if the vote came up, it would sail through Congress. So are you in favor of that ban right now?
Well, I'm strongly in support of the Second Amendment, but what we're going to do in the party, and
I asked about the ban on bump stocks, not the Second Amendment.
We're going to focus on the priorities of the American people. And what the priorities of the American people are today is to focus on closing our southern border. Under Donald Trump, we had a precipitous drop in illegal border crossings. Under Donald Trump, under Joe Biden, we've seen an explosion. 10 million illegal immigrants have invaded our country, leading to migrant crime that we just saw just yesterday. A mother of 5 killed by an illegal immigrant. So what the focus will be is on the safety of the American people. That starts with focusing on our southern border.
Tim Scott, I'm going to have to take away points. That was absolutely, totally inelegant. That was totally inelegant. You didn't do no spin. You didn't do no killer crossover. You didn't hit him with a Tim Hardaway or an Allen Iverson. You just ran straight into the block and tried to bowl the interview over. You actually did bowl the interview over, and it's that kind of behavior that's going to get you blocked. It's that kind of behavior that's going to get you in the ban list. They have no reason to bring you on in if you're not going to answer none of the questions, Tim. You have been a politician far too long than to be that inelegant. I mean, I'm sure Byron Donalds could top that.
Ask you about specifically what we've been hearing from Republicans and from Donald Trump, claiming the Democrats are illegally weaponizing the Justice Department against Mr. Trump. Why is it appropriate for Donald Trump then to call for prosecuting his political opponents, including President Biden?
Well, let me also explain this one. Now, what he did say is that we have always had this kind of a gentleman's agreement that you do not go after the political leaders of the opposition party. When Donald Trump was president, he didn't have his attorney generals go after Hillary Clinton when she did violate the Espionage Act. He did not give that order. They did not go and prosecute Hillary Clinton. But now you have a situation where Main Justice has weaponized the Justice Department to go after Donald Trump. You have Jack Smith, who's chasing down Donald Trump on violating the Espionage Act, but at the same time, Robert Hur knows that President Biden has violated the Espionage Act. Robert Hur is not prosecuting Joe Biden. Jack Smith is trying to prosecute Donald Trump.
Let me interrupt briefly, though. The Biden Justice Department obviously is also prosecuting Democrats. Robert Menendez of New Jersey, Henry Cuellar of Texas right now. They just prosecuted Hunter Biden as well. So is it only weaponization when it is Republicans that are being prosecuted?
That's not true, and that's not even the same thing we're talking about here. What you got to understand is
they've prosecuted both Democrats and Republicans. So I think Americans would say, isn't that equal justice?
Bob Menendez has gold bars with his name engraved on them from a foreign country. So that's what Bob Menendez's situation is. Henry Cuellar's situation just got into investigation. But it is without a doubt that these legal cases were all brought in the middle of a presidential election for one purpose, and that is to criminalize Donald Trump, that is to polarize Donald Trump, that is to persecute Donald Trump. That's the only reason why you even bring these cases in the time frame that they're being brought.
And again,
that's how it's done, Tim Scott. That's how it's done, Tim Scott. That is the kind of flimsy trash argument that I would expect from somebody trying to be Donald Trump's VP. That was downright Trumpian, just filled with contradiction and bullcrap. Like, that is what I'm talking about. The fact that he dismissed the Menendez prosecution because of how obvious all of the evidence is, when all of Trump's evidence has been for all the world to see. Like, it's literally littered the timeline with all of Trump's evidence, but it's not the same thing because Menendez had gold bars with his name engraved on them. That is what I'm talking about, Tim Scott. I'm gonna need you to step your game up because that was a very strong tap dance by Byron Donalds. And in fact, he's gonna start us off the next round.
You about some policy issues as they relate to Mr. Trump. This week, Mr. Trump floated the idea of getting rid of the federal income tax and replacing it with an all-tariff policy. Many economists say that that would help the rich and that it would hurt middle and lower income Americans. In 2021, Congressman, you praised America as a beacon for free and fair trade throughout the entire world. So wouldn't the president's idea hurt tens of millions of Americans?
Well, let me be direct about trade policy. For a lot of our country's history, trade policy has not been written to the best interests of the American people. A lot of these trade policies have favored foreign countries. I believe in free trade, but it has to be fair trade. The deals have to be equitable. The deals that were written in the past, previous administrations, were not equitable to the American people, to the American companies.
So Donald
that's
Trump's
the type of thing
proposing
that has to be shifted.
all-tariff policy.
Now,
If you believe in...
Now, hold on a second. Let me finish.
Yeah.
Let me finish. I'm going to come to the policy. Now, what I will say is that President Trump is thinking through all types of various policies to jumpstart our economy, to make sure that we have a flourishing and thriving America. It's an idea. It's not concrete yet. A lot of things have to be flushed out. I was in the room when this was brought up. I talked with several of my colleagues who understand tariff policy, trade policy, and tax policy in a lot more detail than I do. They said there's some merit to it, but there's some other things that have to be worked out. You also have to figure out how to deal with the taxation piece for people on the low end of the socioeconomic spectrum.
So to be clear, these are just ideas you're suggesting.
This isn't to protect all Americans.
This isn't a real proposal that he's looking to implement right now. We should note that under Donald Trump in his 4 years in office,
there are many ideas that the president is thinking through, all designed to make sure that America thrives and that the American people thrive.
The debt rose by $8.4 trillion when Donald Trump was in office. And also the Fed chair, who Donald Trump himself selected, has said this week that the economy is growing at a solid pace and we have a strong labor market. I want to ask you, if I can, about that a little bit. Wouldn't this policy, though, hurt the very Americans, black Americans, that you were speaking to last night?
I'm very disappointed, Byron Donalds. I am extremely disappointed, Byron Donalds, because it is clear from your response that you are aware of how problematic Donald Trump's tariff flirtation will be for him in this election. It is pretty clear that the association of giving huge businesses and billionaires tax breaks and making the middle class pay for said tax breaks is problematic. And you are owning how problematic it is by virtue of the fact that you are ceding that this is something that hasn't been decided yet. What I would have expected from you is exactly what you just did in the previous question, or what Tim Scott did when he was talking about crime statistics. It is your job to tell us it is raining when it is sunny outside. That is why they bring you out here. It is your job to tell us why this thing that will be terrible for millions of Americans will in fact be in their best interest. They'll eat it up. Tim, I know you can beat that.
So let me ask you about one of the specific policy ideas he floated while he was in Washington. He floated the idea of raising tariffs high enough to be able to eliminate all of the income that comes in from income taxes. Is that, I mean, by some calculations, that's a 70% across-the-board tax on everything imported in the country. Some other estimates, it's nearly 100%. Would you favor a policy like that, replacing the income tax with a massive new tariffs on everything coming into the country?
Well, John, I wasn't in that House meeting. I was in the Senate meeting. But what I can tell you spoke about during the time of the Senate is actually exempting taxation on tips. The working class coalition that is now supporting Donald Trump is supporting Donald Trump because they know, looking back over his 4 years, they were better off under Donald Trump.
Now that's a pro. Now that's a pro right there. Ain't nobody asking about tips. He gonna bring up tips. He gonna bring up some aspect of it where he could try and sell it. That is a pro. We got a game now. We got a game. They squabbling out here now.
Okay, Senator, the day before that violent mob attacked the Capitol, you put out a statement explaining your decision to certify Joe Biden's election victory. Do you stand by that? You were not one of those that challenged the results. You voted to certify Biden's election victory. Do you stand by that?
Certainly. I will stand by that decision and the next decision to certify the fact that Donald Trump will be the next president of the United States. November 5th, the day of reckoning, is coming. The early ballots go out in places like North Carolina starting in September. We're going to focus on making sure that we use every tool in the toolkit to make sure that this election results are clear and profound, and that the American people get 4 more years of low unemployment, low inflation, high enthusiasm, and a president respected and sometimes feared on the global stage. That president will be Donald Trump.
All right, and then very quickly, we're just about out of time, but you had said that Mike Pence absolutely did the right thing when he defied Donald Trump's demand to not certify that election. Do you still stand by that Pence absolutely did the right thing on January 6th?
The Constitution is clear. What we're trying to focus on is how do we make sure we get 4 more years where the American people, particularly kids like me, growing up in poverty, have the best future we could possibly have.
Senator Scott, thank you.
Version of the American dream. That takes Donald Trump.
Senator Scott, thank you very much for being with us here this Sunday. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John.
He landed the vault. Oh, he landed the vault. He did the full shuffle, the full sachet. He did the Ray Lewis. Oh, he pulled every move out of the toolkit. That was solid. That was a solid shuffle job. That was a solid shuffle job. Yeah. I would give him an 8.3. I would give him an 8.3. Yeah. All right, Byron Donalds, what you got for us?
How can a black person get ahead when you have less disposable income today than you had in 2017, in 2018, in 2019? This is what a lot of the black business owners that we talked to yesterday in Detroit were explaining to the president.
Let me try to get to a couple other topics. The lowest unemployment rate for black Americans under Donald Trump was 5.3%. The lowest under Joe Biden was 4.7%. Mr. Trump said yesterday that your name is very high on his list of people he's considering as a running mate. Would you be ready on day 1 to serve as commander-in-chief if necessary?
Well, I think if you're going to step into that job, it's obviously the toughest job, the biggest job, not just in our politics, but really, frankly, in the world. Look, I think that I would have an ability to step in. I'm actually pretty intelligent. I can sift through issues really, really well. It's about judgment. It's about logic streams. It's about how you make decisions at the end of the day. And then you cannot discount the fact that you would have a lot of people who are very qualified to be around to help you do that job and do what's in the best interest of the American people. Do I believe in myself? 100% I do. And so, you know, we'll see what President Trump decides. I'm going to support whatever he does.
Congressman Byron Donalds, we appreciate you making time to speak to us today. Thank you very much.
Tim Scott, he just talked about your mama. He just talked about your mama, Tim Scott. I ain't like, he just got up there and said, I think I am very intelligent. Who you think he was talking about? Huh? Who you think he was talking about? Because he might as well say, as a matter of fact, didn't he say I speak clearly? I put words together very well. Didn't he say that in a previous interview?
I am, obviously one of the better communicators in the Republican Party. I know how to put words together. I do it very, very often.
Oh, he talking about your mama, Tim Scott. Oh man, I gotta give it to Byron Donalds. That was a knockout in the 12th round right there. That was a knockout. That was a knockout in the 12th round right there. They out here dance battling for biscuits, Mortisa, and at the end, just bow, roundhouse. Wow, that was wait. We got one more. Is one more entrant?
Sir Tim Scott, who on August the 3rd will become a father himself. I will tell you in advance, it is the best yet most expensive form of entertainment you can possibly have. So happy early Father's Day to you. Happy Father's Day to your dad.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for joining us on a Sunday night.
Who let this happen? Who let this happen? I need to know who let this happen. They have taken this entirely too far. All of a sudden, Mindy come out of nowhere. Now my man is going to procreate? I don't want to live in this America. Let me off. Let me off.
If you took that stage, you would get booed off of it. You would get booed off the stage.
Shut up, Gates. Hey, don't be an asshole.
Dude, I don't even know who you are, man.
It doesn't fucking matter who I am. Don't be an asshole.
One person who raised the issue, he's got an ethics complaint about sleeping with a 17-year-old.
This is what happens when you don't have fathers in the home. Also, I blame country music. Welcome to Street Politics. My name is Reese Waters. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the page. Now, in doing my duty for you guys here on this channel, I decided that I would watch and recap all the events at the RNC convention, despite all prior experience telling me that MAGA cannot be trusted to act right in public.
30% they went up. The biggest increase in history. It was then. Not really.
What's wrong with you? What's wrong with y'all? You niggas are crazy. See, this is why I don't go to the movies in certain neighborhoods. You know what I mean? This one, because they don't respect the show. They don't respect other people. I just stay out of their neighborhoods. You know what I mean? Just for my own safety and peace of mind. I mean, they don't even respect the theater. They don't even respect plays. I guess that's just how they was raised. You know, you would think, though, at least they would respect their own event. I mean, especially given how religious they claim to be. See, we starting with a prayer. That should calm them down.
Dear Waheguru, our one true God, we thank you for creating America as a unique haven on this earth where all people are free to worship according to their faith.
I'm sure they'll respect that. See, that's wrong. That's wrong. See, that's racism that should only be reserved for the VP's wife.
J.D. Vance also has a non-white wife, an Indian wife, and a kid named Vivek. All his kids have Indian names. So it's like, what exactly are we getting here? And that's not a dig at him just because I'm a racist or something. But it's like, who is this guy really? Do we really expect that the guy who has an Indian wife and named their kid Vivek is going to support white identity?
Wait a minute. Are they fighting?
Speaking. What night are you speaking? Are you speaking tonight? Or one person? No. Hey, you're not. If you took that stage, you would get booed off of it. You would get booed off the stage.
Hey, let them fight. Let them fight.
You would get booed off the stage.
Shut up, Gates. Don't be an asshole.
Dude, I don't even know who you are, man.
It doesn't fucking matter who I am. Don't be an asshole.
Yeah, I'm just standing here. So don't be honest.
Oh, you know exactly who he is, Matt Gaetz. That's somebody who made you walk away because you didn't want that smoke.
You're not. If you took that stage, you would get booed off of it.
All these people around and nobody broke it up, but everybody took out their phones. We got lots of different angles of it. Y'all might as well have yelled World Star.
One who's not coming back, and then the other part that you have, and the other part you have is one person who raised the issue.
This is what happens when you don't have fathers in the home. Yeah, this is what happens when you don't have fathers in the home to lead them the right way. Also, I blame country music. I blame country. Yeah, it's that gangster country. They've been listening to that Jason Aldean all day, and now you out here embarrassing yourself in front of the world. I mean, who was he even trying to fight?
One who's not coming back, and then the other part that you have, and the other part you have is one person who raised the issue. He's got an ethics complaint about sleeping with a 17-year-old. So that's the way they would go. So that's the biggest challenge we have.
Oh, they rekindling the Kevin McCarthy, Matt Gaetz feud. See, here I am thinking that they were just going to squash it, at least for the RNC convention. I didn't know you had to have factions. You had to have them in separate parts of the FISERV forum, like this is the Bloods and the Crips. I didn't know that Gaetz was going to be so triggered. I mean, he didn't have all that smoke for Gonzalez.
He will survive. Look, the House is a rough and rowdy place, but Mike Johnson is going to be just fine. I served 20 years in the military. It's my absolute honor to be in Congress, but I served with some real scumbags. Look, Matt Gaetz, he paid minors to have sex with him at drug parties.
But now you want to come out here and attack an unemployed man from behind. Kids today, kids today, they don't settle things like we used to once upon a time. They got no respect. And not to mention the fact that they don't respect their elders either. I mean, at least Kevin McCarthy, did you fight back at least? Fight back, Kevin McCarthy.
He's got an ethics complaint about sleeping with a 17-year-old. So that's the way they would go.
Oh, that was good. That was good. He gonna get him in the back. He gonna be waiting backstage like the Source Awards. Oh. Now look, y'all done upset Rudy Giuliani. Rudy, let me smell your breath. Oh, it's the shoes. It's the shoes' fault. Hey, well, if it's the shoes, then that's your fault too. You still got on them shoes you took off a drifter back in '88. I told you about that. This is just the karma from stop and frisk. That's all that is, because you've been stopping people and frisking them for decades. Now all you got is them clown shoes that you've been walking around with. And by the way, ain't you supposed to be in jail? Huh? Oh, he on work release? Oh, okay. All right, well, I tell you, he need to work and release some of those funds back to Shay Moss and Ruby Freeman. You remember the two Georgia election workers he slandered. Hey, Trump!
Ever since he got here, he hasn't done anything for the people who he wrote this moving book about.
Trump! Orange turkey. You got to get out here and say something. Yeah, you got to get out here and say, because no, they disrespecting the prayer. They out here fighting. You got Rudy falling over because ain't nobody cut him off. You got accusations of crimes and not checking ID. I ain't seen nothing this ghetto since the Boebert family scrapbook. Huh, what's that? Oh, yeah, it's because of the shooting. Yeah, it's the shooting because it was gunplay at the rally. And while we're on the topic,
where I am at this point is it's been 3 days going on 4 since this horrific event occurred. A person lost their life, 2 have been severely injured, and yet we've not received a medical report from the hospital, nor have we received a medical report from the campaign or from the Trump organization about the extent of the damage to his ear. If he was shot by a high caliber bullet, there should probably be very little ear there. And so we'd like to know that. Is there cosmetic surgery involved? What is the prognosis for recovery? Were there stitches? What is the extent and nature of the damage to his ear? Was it caused by a bullet as opposed to, as some reports from those on the scene, other reporters, saying that it was actually shards of glass from the teleprompter itself, not the bullet? So there are a lot of questions around that ear, and yet there's been no response to that. Instead, just showing the image of the man coming into the hall with the wounded ear.
Let me jump in on that.
So that's the politics.
Nah, he's actually a Republican. Yeah, I know. He sounded way too dignified for the RNC. Yeah, they probably won't let him back in. Yeah, they too hood. You probably catch some of that ghetto by osmosis.
From the next Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance.
No. No. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. No. 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 Hell no.
Welcome to Street Politics. My name is Reese Waters. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the page. Now, the good news is, after the debacle from earlier this week,
if you took that stage, you would get booed off of it. You would get booed off the stage.
Shut up, Gates. Hey, don't be an asshole.
Dude, I don't even know who you are. It doesn't fucking matter to us.
You're probably an asshole.
One person who raised the issue, he's got an ethics complaint about sleeping with a 17-year-old.
the reps were on their best behavior. I mean, other than Matt Gaetz, who broke into J.D. Vance's makeup kit. You know, I actually get why J.D. Vance does makeup, though, because it gives you something to entertain yourself while he's talking.
We need a leader who's not in the pocket of big business, but answers to the working man, union and non-union alike. A leader who won't sell out to multinational corporations.
Now, aside from the fact that Trump has called for cutting corporate taxes by $800 billion this week, boring! Ohio, this is what y'all gave us? Ohio, I gotta holler at y'all. Ohio, like really, like how did you even sit there long enough to pay attention to him to decide that he's somebody you wanted to vote for? I ain't been this mad at Ohio since the Cavs stole the 2016 NBA championship. Y'all know Draymond Green shouldn't have been suspended. I ain't been this mad at Ohio since the Buckeyes stole the 2002 national championship. That's two that they stole. It might be something in Ohio. You know what? I ain't been this mad at Ohio since somebody stole the chart out the barbershop in Steve Harvey's neighborhood and he had to go with a man unit. But here's where we get to the bad news. While the reps were on their best behavior, this time it was the crowd acting up.
And put them behind bars. Or send them back.
Greg Abbott was going to start floating. This ain't going to look good.
Because I've been so struck, not just by what we've heard, Kristen, but what we have not heard this whole week. All the rally favorites, the greatest hits about the 2020 election being stolen. No one's mentioning it. Political grievances, weaponizing government. Nobody's mentioning it. Nobody's calling the January 6th rioters patriots or hostages. All of that seems to have been excised from what the Republican Party is trying to portray here on this stage. It is notable.
It's very notable, and we are told that the Republican National Committee did urge some of these speakers to tone down their language in these speeches, and so clearly we're hearing a reflection of that in these speeches. It represents a shift.
Oh, word, they tamped it down while holding mass deportation signs. That was them tamping it down. Exactly what would have not been them tamping it down? Just walking around with a lasso, dragging people off of the street? NBC News, tell me exactly what not tamping it down looks like if this is tamping it down. You know, I should have known. I should have known when I saw Kristen Welker.
Well, the president was clearly comfortable discussing foreign policy issues from Ukraine to China, but he did mix up Vice President Harris and former President Trump's names mere minutes into the event, just hours after mistakenly calling Ukrainian President Zelensky President Putin. Welcome back. One group that's happy with how President Biden's news conference went last night, Republicans, especially those around former President Trump.
I got less sympathy for Kristen Welker than the people who lost money on crypto with Amber Rose. See, that is allegedly why she is MAGA now, because apparently she's trying to get in front of any potential charges that she might be facing by cozying up to the man who might be president. I will say this, far be it for me to ever, and I mean ever, defend Amber Rose, but if you lose money investing with Amber Rose, you deserve to be broke. I'm sorry, you deserve to be broke. That money was not long for your pockets. I am sorry. If you invest your money with Amber Rose, you make worse financial decisions than the people on her OnlyFans. See? I told you. But still, I gotta ask, what made this crowd so mad?
Sometimes it just writes itself. It's probably a ladybug in the system.
That makes sense. That actually makes a lot of sense. And I want to take this moment to send my heart out to all the poor, innocent men of Milwaukee who had nothing to do with the RNC, who had their social lives completely interrupted by this convention. Oh, come on. Wait a minute. Is that a congressman? But it was an especially bad look in front of J.D. Vance's wife. I mean, at least you can pretend in person and then go be racist online. That's typically the American way. You smile in their face and then you go post insanely racist stuff on the internet when you get home. That is typically how the priority is supposed to work. Huh? Oh yeah, I love Kasim Rashid. Let's see what Kasim had to say here. Vance's wife, Usha Vance, comes into the spotlight as a potential future second lady. Usha is a Yale Law graduate. She clerked for Justice Roberts, then Justice Kavanaugh, and is now an accomplished corporate lawyer. She even, as the New York Times put it, helped Mr. Vance organize his ideas about social decline in rural white America. By all accounts, she's been vital to advancing not only J.D. Vance's racism and claims of white grievance, but intimately supported a rogue MAGA Supreme Court rife with corruption to advance Project 2025. Usha should be a MAGA hero for advancing the MAGA agenda of racism and white supremacy. Who does she think she is? Byron Donalds?
My background is very different from JD's. I grew up in San Diego, in a middle-class community. With two loving parents, both immigrants from India.
And apparently they gonna be the last ones if you have your way. So apparently they came in order to allow for you to close the door. Is that what it is? Close the door. I'll give you that white America you've been waiting for.
My background is very different from JD's. I grew up in San Diego, in a middle-class community. With two loving parents, both immigrants from India, and a wonderful sister.
They didn't clap or nothing. That is just rude. For comparison's sake, they even clapped for Don Jr.
The country we love. And by the way, J.D. Vance is gonna make one hell of a vice president.
The biggest victim, though, was Don Sr., who was clearly fighting for his life all throughout that speech. I have been there before. I remember Easter Sunday, 87 through 96. Those were all rough. But nothing, and I mean nothing, tops this. No, ain't no way. That was Photoshop. That was Photoshop. I refuse to believe that. That has to be Photoshop. You know what? I need video. Video or it didn't happen.
Here for the next Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance. Our ally.
Help me out, MAGA. Is this a serious event or not? Is this because I've been sitting on the jokes. I'll be honest, I have been responsible. I've been sitting on the jokes. I didn't post this. I didn't post this. But yet, here y'all go. Is that an index card? So you want me to believe that this was an attack on democracy and that Trump is an American hero?
They say you can't truly know how you'll respond in a moment of danger until you're actually confronted with it. So what was my father's instinct as his life was on the line? Not to cower, not to surrender, but to show for all the world to see that the next American president has the heart of a lion. My father raised his fist into the air. He looked out at the crowd, and what did he say?
But this is how y'all act, huh? Is this how y'all act when soldiers come back from war? You know, real American heroes, y'all just limp around. Is that how you do it? When you show up to the tarmac, when they get off the plane, you act like you're wounded, where they're wounded, just walking around the airport with eye patches? Exactly how does this work? I'm trying to understand how you want us to have the proper level of respect for this attack on an American hero, but you out here with ace bandages around your face. How far does this go, MAGA? I need to know how far this goes. I'm surprised nobody showed up to the convention with a robe, considering what we learned during his hush money trial. If y'all gonna treat it like a joke, then don't get mad when other people do.
Rod should hold a press conference today and call for Trump's impeachment. That's what I would do. That's what I would do. I'm going to do it. I'm supporting impeachment. I'm supporting impeachment. He must be removed. His son Jared must be prosecuted.
Ooh, he's in bad shape. Hey, somebody get him some water, please. Welcome to Street Politics. My name is Reese Waters. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the page. Now, Roger Stone, the longtime Republican operative who served as an advisor to Donald Trump when he wasn't on Cell Block D, was secretly recorded at Mar-a-Lago revealing the former president's strategy to challenge the results of the 2024 election should he lose again. And if anything should inspire confidence, it is how thorough their plans are for challenging the results should they lose for a contest that's 6 months away. He actually spilled his guts to reporters Lauren Windsor and Ali Samarco, who posed as Trump fans and covertly videotaped him at a Catholic's Prayer for Trump event on March 19th.
I know you are. Tell that. Unlike some other pictures. I'm going to send this to Joe Biden. I thought he could be our close fifth guy. That's it.
Do you mind taking a photo with me, Mr. Stone?
Sure.
You're in a position to know more than anybody else. How are you feeling about the election?
Too early to say.
I can't win again.
No, but it can be stolen again.
We're in a whole. But there's got to be something we can do to prevent that.
We're working on this, but I'm not saying that I'm totally confident yet because I'm not. By the way, in 2020, only 65% of evangelical Christians bothered to vote. So when you tell people, "Oh, we're doing great," then this happens. I don't have to worry about voting. So that's our biggest. Overconfidence is one of our giant problems right now among our own people.
But so, what are we going to do to stop it, though? Thank you.
I'll tell you the same thing I told her. We're working on it.
Well,
lawyers, judges, technology.
Lawyers, judges, and technology. None of that involves actually winning over voters. No, none of that is doing things to convince people to vote for you. So your plan is lawyers, judges, and technology. Nothing says our platform is trash like our plans to win involve challenging the results. It also sounds remarkably like the plan from last time that did not work, seeing as how Trump is not currently in the White House. So your plan was the plan that didn't work last time. That would be like the NBA deciding, okay, we know that worst finals ever was trending immediately after the NBA finals. So our plan for next year is just to have the Eastern Conference be trash and just have one team run through the Eastern Conference, make it totally unwatchable, and have the Western Conference be lit, but like a total bloodbath. So whatever team comes through just gets picked off by the team from the Eastern Conference. Oh, they actually are going to do that? They're going to do that same thing? Okay. It would be like the Dallas Cowboys saying next year we just going to run it back with Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott. Oh, they're doing that too?
Lawyers, judges, technology.
By the way, your lawyers have all failed up to this point, and you challenging technology has led to millions of dollars in lawsuits. So I don't know that you actually want that technology smoke this time around.
Yes, but between now and then, we're going to work very hard and very smart to try to make sure that doesn't happen. And so far, given the incredible power they have and they will use ruthlessly, we're beating them as of today. So in the end, the president's trial in Georgia's falling apart. I think the judges are on the verge of dismissing the charges against him in Florida. They're delayed in New York City, and they're now delayed in Washington.
Sounds like somebody has some inside info. Tell me more.
It's not clear that they can have a trial before the election, which is the absolute key to being able to convince people that the reason we lost was because of the trial. Right now, if they steal it, people say, well, that's not possible. Trump is leading in all the polls. they want to try him, suck up his money, suck up his time, and create the reason why their theft is plausible, believable. You see?
Yeah, what stops them from just like voter fraud? Like
They in some states it'll be easier to stop them, in other places it won't. But at least this time, when they do it, you have a lawyer and a judge whose home phone number standing by so you can stop him. We made no preparations last time.
Did you say a judge's phone number? Okay, let me get that name and number, please. Let's bring them in on this. Eileen Cannon.
I was at the Capitol, so I'm prepared to go back.
Well, that may not be necessary. There are technical and legal steps that we have to take to try to have a more honest election. We're not there yet, but there are things that can be done.
Like what?
It's a long conversation. I'm working with changes in state law, real-time voter list monitoring, going to court as we just did to challenge some of the voter lists. The election's not tomorrow. We went into court to sue in Michigan over the handling of ballots, which we sued in half a dozen places. And they're really profoundly now on an offensive footing. Remember, the Republican National Committee raised $200 million and they didn't spend any of it to try to get cleaner elections or look at what happened last time. We now finally have control of our mechanism. Don't be discouraged.
So they're going to spend, the RNC is going to spend more money now than
far more.
Do you want to get a picture? Can we get a picture?
Sure.
Now, many people have challenged the possible legality of this recording, which was clarified right here. But Roger Stone himself couldn't resist the opportunity to reveal that not only is this him, but this is in fact authentic when he posted incorrect, as you are completely unfamiliar with the circumstances, which is funny. You know who's not unfamiliar with the circumstances? The person that posted the video, and also apparently you, since you are outing yourself for being the one in the video, saying, I will sue Lauren and appeal as many times as may be necessary, get out your checkbook, and of course appealing to women there with that final salvo. I don't think that that courts have been your friend, Roger Stone. So I don't know that that's a place that you actually want to challenge anybody. But I will challenge you. Why are you talking? The first rule of Do Dirt is you do not talk about doing dirt. Like, why are you out here revealing to random people? Obviously, this is not somebody that you had a relationship with. You are out here dry snitching at Mar-a-Lago for the entire plan for Trump to challenge should he lose, which I'm assuming is the expectation since these plans are so thorough. I mean, far be it for me to express dismay that we have this information. I'm very grateful we have this information because it allows the other side to be prepared for it, and I get to talk about it. I get this kind of content, but just on GP, man, what you doing? What you doing, man? By the way, the Trump campaign has launched 62 lawsuits contesting results of the election across the country in 2020. However, they were quickly dismissed or dropped due to a lack of standing or evidence, kind of like if Roger Stone were to challenge this recording. Who could have seen that coming? Who could have seen Roger Stone out here with the loose lips? I mean, it's not like he's been caught slipping before.
Huh?
What was their agenda?
To do a hit job on Roger Stone. I'm sorry, I had people talking in my ear. Start it again. Yeah, how can they do that? Right. Well, you don't understand people. I do. Rod should hold a press conference today and call for Trump's impeachment. That's what I would do. I'm going to do it. I'm supporting impeachment. He must be removed. His son Jared must be prosecuted.
Ooh, he's in bad shape. Hey, somebody get him some water, please.
I want to know how money changed hands on Bannon. I want a federal investigation. I'm filing a complaint with the FBI this afternoon. Fuck these people. Fuck these people. Right. So, right, exactly. Which is why I'm for the impeachment. I want impeachment. I'm going to work very hard for it. I'm not kidding. He betrayed Bernie, betrayed Rudy, he betrayed everybody. So he has to go. He has to go. Run again. You'll get your fucking brains beat in.
Y'all got a Gatorade, Pedialyte, Ensure, anything.
Right, which is good, unfortunately, for Pat, because he's easy to find. Fuck these people. Let's be very clear. There is no Vatican, cocksucker. It's one sentence. So if you're in a meeting and he says that, you punch him in the mouth as hard as you can to make your point. It's one sentence. We're not stupid. There is no paperwork, you cocksucker. He needs to be impeached. He needs to be denounced and impeached. The greatest single mistake in American history. Greatest single mistake. He's surrounded by morons, and he surrounded himself by morons. And a good long sentence in prison, he'll give him a chance to think about it. Because the Southern District's coming for him, and he did nothing. You want to fight? Let's fight. Fuck you. Fuck you and your abortionist bitch daughter.
I gotta wonder, is this Roger Stone's revenge for leaving him twisted in the wind? Is this his revenge for having to go through intake? I mean, why would they let him in on any plans after this video had already gone public? You have to ask those questions. Now, since we're out here recording people on the low, I can only imagine if we were able to get like the Supreme Court, like one of the Supreme Court justices, because they have been a mess. But I know they probably won't talk to strangers.
I don't know that we can negotiate with the left in the way that needs to happen for the polarization to end. I think that it's a matter of winning.
I think you're probably right. I think one side or the other is going to win. I don't know. I mean, there can be a way of working, a way of living together peacefully, but it's difficult, because there are differences on fundamental things that really can't be compromised. They really can't be compromised. So it's not like we're going to split the difference. And
it's easy to blame the media, but I do blame them because they do nothing but criticize us, and so they have really eroded trust in the court. I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, ordinary people, ordinary isn't the right word. American citizens in general need to work on this to try to heal this polarization because it's very dangerous. I do believe it's very dangerous.
Let me guess. He's just gonna blame his wife. And I'm sure she is just gonna deny it. I mean, isn't that the thing to do? Would they blame their wives for being the reason why they got into this situation? We saw Alito do it. We saw Clarence Thomas do it. I still believe that, as I said in my previous video, I still believe they're trying to take power away from all women because they have no power in the home. I think that's it. I think they are taking it out on all women because they get told what to eat and when to go to bed. We all have to suffer because you refuse to wear pants in your home. Sad. I bet you would never catch Martha and Alito slipping like that.
I'm sorry, are you Miss Alito?
I am.
Hi, my name's Lauren. I just met these ladies tonight, but
very cool.
I'm a huge fan of your husband, and everything that
you're going through. I just want to tell you that, like,
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It's not okay, though. It's not okay.
It's okay. It's okay because if they come back to me, I'll get them.
That's me, too.
I'm going to be liberated, and I'm going to get them.
What do you mean by
Oh, well.
gay?
There's a 5-year defamation statute of limitations.
But I don't know what you mean by gay, like the media. Oh, okay.
Come on, I'll get you. Come on. You know, I was denigrated early on when we first came to town. And the woman then won a Pulitzer Prize. She was commenting on my clothes. She said that I wore a baby blanket one day. And the next time I had on a Lazy Boy recliner pattern suit. And so when she won her Pulitzer,
Excuse me, Martha Ann, I got a question. So she said that you were wearing a baby boy blanket and a Lazy Boy recliner suit, but you haven't denied that you were wearing a baby boy blanket and a Lazy Boy recliner suit. So could she have gotten that Pulitzer just for accuracy?
I called her up and I said, hello, is this Robin Gavin of the New York Times? Yes, it is. I said, oh, I'm so proud of you. You're getting a Pulitzer Prize. I said, and will you be wearing Balenciaga? And she goes, no. I said, why not? She said, well, it doesn't flatter me. I said, oh, come on. Such a high-end thing, it doesn't flatter you?
Sorry, I have another question, Martha Ann. Who pronounces Balenciaga like that? Balenciaga! Who pronounces Balenciaga like that, but also is accused of wearing a Lazy Boy recliner suit? Huh? Because I don't know that anybody who says Balenciaga has ever been accused of wearing a baby boy blanket.
And then I said to her, you know, it's a beautiful day. It's April 2006. I said, maybe you want to go outside today in New York. It's really beautiful. Take a walk and enjoy life. She never came after me again, but she went after Jane Roberts again.
Oh, that is definitely a threat. Can we, where's DOJ? Where's DOJ? Can we get the FBI in on this? She out here threatening civilians? What's going on? Oh, okay. Right. Because the Supreme, he gonna find a way to, I know.
Right, but that's, you know, the other thing is the feminazis believe that he should control me. Yeah. So you go to hell. He never controls me.
It's actually not just the feminazis. It's also anybody who's ever heard you speak.
Look at me. I'm German. I'm German. My heritage is German. You come after me, I'm going to give it back to you. And there will be a way. It doesn't have to be now, but there will be a way. They will know. So don't worry about it. God, you read the Bible. Psalm 27 is my song. Mine. Psalm 27. The Lord is my God and my rock. Of whom shall I be afraid? Nobody. You know what I want? I want a Sacred Heart of Jesus flag because I have to look across the lagoon at the Pride flag for the next month.
Exactly.
And he's like, oh, please don't put up a flag. I said, I won't do it because I'm deferring to you. But when you are free of this nonsense, I'm putting it up and I'm going to send them a message every day. Maybe every week I'll be changing the flags.
When you are free of this nonsense, you mean the appearance of impropriety, the appearance of impartiality that comes with being one of the leading jurists in the land, which is the reason why you have the money, power, and prestige that you currently are wielding and flaunting for all the rest of us to see? Is that the nonsense that you're talking about? Because believe me, Martha Ann and Samuel Alito, I would be glad to relieve you of this nonsense. There are millions of Americans that will vote, if possible, to relieve both of you of this nonsense.
There'll be all kinds. I made a flag in my head. This is how I satisfy myself.
I didn't say nothing. I ain't even say nothing.
I made a flag. It's white, and it's yellow and orange flames around it. And in the middle is the word vergogna. Vergogna in Italian means shame. Vergogna. V-E-R-G-O-G-N-A. Vergogna. Shame on you. You know. Anyway.
That's going to be the only shame coming from that household. It's going to be on the flag. I'm telling you, Republicans out here moving sloppier than Brett Kavanaugh at Georgetown Prep. But this is what you need to take away from this. The streets is watching, okay? The streets is watching. And if there's anything we can't put past Republicans, is underhanded dealing. So if this is what's happening to them, I can only imagine what plans they possibly have. So everybody on the left, Jasmine Crockett, Hakeem Jeffries, AOC, all y'all, hey, batten down the hatches, okay? Don't be out here talking free to nobody with no red hats on. Even if it looked like they had a red hat on, they still got the brim around the hairline. It looks like they had a red hat on. Then you know you need to keep it tight. You need to keep it tight. Matter of fact, I don't even talk to nobody wearing red.
Joe and Sharon Rudy. I slept on their couch 3-4 nights a week for about a month and a half. Finally, they were threatened that they would burn our apartment complex down unless I got out.
Bear Bryant walked up to me and paid me a compliment. 1967. And he said to the group, "This is just the kind of nigger boy that we need."
Hi, my name is Reese Waters, and I'm troubled. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the page. I want to take a moment out and give a shout out to all of my seasoned viewers out there, all the people who went through things that I talk about in my Races of the Week segment, which I would love for you to check out, back when they were normalized. The stuff that is sensational now, back when it was just a regular day. Because those are the people who the idea of Make America Great Again lands a little bit different. Like, I have an idea in my head of what America used to be like, and thankfully I listen to folks like you guys tell me about what things used to be like. But for you, it's all too visceral. Now enter Reggie Jackson, who shared the pain of his time off the field in Birmingham with Fox Sports analysts recently prior to Major League Baseball's salute to the Negro Leagues game between the St. Louis Cardinals and the San Francisco Giants.
Joe and Sharon Rudy. I slept on their couch 3-4 nights a week for about a month and a half. Finally, they were threatened that they would burn our apartment complex down unless I got out. Bull Connor was the sheriff the year before, and they took minor league baseball out of here because in 1963, the Klan murdered 4 black girls, children, in 11, 12, 14 years old at a church here and never got indicted. They were from the Klan. Life magazine did a story on them like they were being honored.
By the way, he had to move out of that building and he moved into the Bankhead Hotel downtown, where he says he mostly just remained in his room because, quote, "I was always afraid." I also want to give a shout out to the whole production staff for letting that entire thing breathe. I have no idea how much of that they knew was going to come or how real Reggie Jackson was going to keep it. But shout out to them for letting that moment happen. And yes, that is something that a great many people need to hear about the reality of Make America Great Again. It's not just that you're enabling and encouraging the kind of behavior we used to engage in, but all of a sudden you're taking off the guardrails to where that becomes normalized. That is what America needs to see and hear. Also, I would like to give a shout out to the allies that he mentioned, Joe Rudy, Raleigh Fingers, Dave Duncan, all the people that he gave a shout out to. I actually had an idea of doing a video series on allies, people that haven't gotten the credit for standing up for us, standing up for black rights, standing up for disenfranchised communities, something that I might do, but shout out to them. It also occurred to me too, Reggie Jackson was a guy, I remember being a kid and having a Reggie Jackson candy bar. I remember having a Reggie Jackson candy bar We used to get them at school. They used to have them at the convenience store. Reggie Jackson was a guy who played when I was alive. And this is what he went through.
I walked into restaurants and they would point at me and said, "The can't eat here." I would go to a hotel and they say, "The can't stay here." We went to Charlie Finley's country club for a welcome home dinner and they pointed me out with the N-word. "He can't come in here."
If this is what Reggie Jackson went through, a man who played when I was alive, can you imagine what Willie Mays, God rest his soul, went through? Can you imagine what he went through? Can you imagine what Hank Aaron, chasing Babe Ruth, went through? And of course, Jackie Robinson. I mean, I don't think anybody could compare to the treatment that Jackie Robinson went through. By the way, there was more. He also spoke about legendary Alabama Crimson Tide coach Paul Bear Bryant, whose son was the A's general manager, being in the stands the day he hit a few triples. After the game, Jackson said the Alabama coach came into the locker room and spoke with him.
I'd hit 2 triples in the game, and I could run like a deer. And Bear Bryant walked up to me and paid me a compliment. 1967. And he said to the group, "This is just the kind of nigger boy that we need in order to compete with Bo, Woody, Ara, and Johnny." He meant it as a compliment. He said, "If we don't get one of these, we're not going to be able to compete with them." And about a few months later, USC came here with Sam Cunningham and beat Alabama 42-10. That was the most impactful thing that happened to me.
Now here's what's so wild about that story. He wasn't even angry. He wasn't even angry. He even maintained a relationship with Bryant because that was normalized at the time. He continued saying, "I got called up to the major leagues and Bear Bryant came up to Chicago and watched me play my first game. 21 years later, when I retired, I played my last game in Chicago and Bear Bryant came to see me play my last game." That friendship lasted until he passed, but that was the most impactful thing that happened to me in Rickwood Field. So yes, a day that he remembers fondly was one in which that happened. I can only imagine, and yes, that is the true nature of Making America Great Again, going back to a time where something like that can happen in a day that you remember fondly. Another thing that I found so fascinating is that throughout this process, Reggie Jackson actually expressed a ton of gratitude. He expressed gratitude for his teammates, all the people that supported him. He expressed gratitude for his allies. He expressed gratitude for his family and all the people that helped him persevere in the face of all of this. He actually emerged from this and is actually telling these stories because he thinks they need to be heard, but also to express how far he's come and how far we have come, and saying he doesn't want to go back to a place like that. And I can only imagine, having gone through that, how I might come out on the other end. And it makes me think about all of the athletes, all the people that are in the public eye. They don't have to be athletes, but all the people that are in the public eye who have gone through things like this and are forced to answer for not being so open and jovial and happy. People like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Elgin Baylor, thinking about the things that they went through and the things that they experienced, and having to deal with a media tell them, "Why don't you smile more? What's your problem?" Knowing that they're not equipped to actually hear what your problem is. And this is just folks that are in the public eye, in the public space. I opened up talking about viewers who went through things like this and giving you guys a shout out. And I want to do it again because you have to navigate life now on the back end of having experienced all of those things. We talk about the trauma that we go through growing up. I talk about trauma I had to deal with, undoing, being bused to a different part of the county and going to, an all-white class and all that. All the stuff that you guys went through, for you to emerge from that and be functional human beings, for you to emerge from that and have open hearts and be as loving as so many of you guys have been is amazing. So I want to give a shout out to all of the OGs and all of the aunties and all of the grandmas, all you guys out there, much love. And thank you guys for paving the way. We need to hear stories like this. So shout out to Reggie Jackson as well. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the page. There'll be more when that came from.